Welcome, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Hi. I feel like we've met before
Yeah.
because when did we last record? It was like maybe 2020 or like 2021. It was a while
couple
ago.
Years ago.
Yeah. But
so much has changed.
So much has
with
changed.
the both of us.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we were just talking off mic about some changes that we may get into today.
Let's get into it.
Okay, well, I wanted to start by asking you what you're struggling with right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean just like in that situation that we were talking about before, but like what are your struggles currently?
Well, I would first say as like corny or cringy as this could sound, I don't know if it's my age or the circumstances I'm going through, but like I feel like this time in my life is the most transformative that I've ever felt before in the best way. But obviously like it comes with struggles, like minor, I like to say transformation, but like you could also say it's an identity crisis at certain times.
I think they can be simultaneous.
They can coexist. Yeah, exactly.
You have to have like a little bit of an identity crisis, I think, to change and to grow.
And I'm having that, and it's beautiful, but obviously like it started, I guess I felt it starting, and then that's probably what allowed my breakup to happen after like 4 years. So then I was single and just feeling like a lot of different things with my job. I think this job, and you can tell me if you can relate at all, it really is hard to not be put into a box, because you find out what works. You find out how you make money, you find out what people respond well to, and you stick to that. But like we are all changing all the time, and there's also so many different versions of ourselves that exist. And a lot of the times some of those versions aren't shown on social media. And I feel like with all of this change happening, I'm really stepping back into like my more artistic self. I want to be able to showcase that, but I don't really know how to with my job. And I've been pinned for this, like, I don't know, just happy wellness girly that like is just very light and bright. And like there's a lot of like dark artistic emotions to myself, and they've always been there. And so I feel like I'm just figuring out how to be like every version of myself and take some of it into my career, but have some of it for myself. It's all, it's all a pile of, I don't know.
I totally understand what you're saying. And I do think we are at kind of a nice time creatively where on the one hand, it feels like we're on a hamster wheel and it's never ending. And what's the end goal, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I feel like, especially with a platform like TikTok, where so many people can kind of become their own brand, and your life is your brand and your interests are your brand. Like there is room to explore the different things that interest you and get other people interested in that. Whereas before, when it was like, the good old days of Instagram, where it's just like you post a picture and you edit the picture, and like you really are pigeonholed, I think.
So true.
And it was hard to adapt initially to video and like the style of TikTok and now Reels and all of that. But I think it is offering creators like more opportunity to explore different versions of themselves.
No, absolutely. Totally. And I'm very grateful for that. Mm-hmm. I think it's just when you're figuring it out too, it's hard to know, like, it's hard to like trust yourself in such a, like, when you're in the middle of like change, to know exactly like what you want to put out there. And I'll have some of these brands that I've been working with being like, oh, well, we love your morning routines. Can you do that for this content? And I'm like, no. I can't do another morning routine. I won't do the fake stretch. Like, oh, just waking up here. Like, I feel like I'm letting a part of me die. Not to sound too dramatic.
Relatable. No, we were just talking before we started recording, and I'm sure some people listening who aren't in this job are like, oh, please, like, give me a fucking break.
Totally.
But
I'm ready for
We're
it.
not like an endless creative well. Like I'll speak for myself. I'm not an endless creative well. And I get the same thing. And I was just saying before we started recording, like I have all these campaigns that I'm doing right now, which I've really stopped doing for the most part, but it's the same thing. They want to dictate how the content is going to be created. And I'm like, well, why are you having me do this? Like,
hire a model.
Yes,
exactly.
Like I'm not in this.
Yeah.
Like, it's not me.
It's
just, it's hard.
It's a interesting dance, and you can get the groove of it for a while, and then you gotta like figure out the next steps and find the groove again. So I'm just in the midst of that.
Yeah. So you said that you were starting to evolve and transform and grow a little bit prior to your breakup, and you did, you said that you were willing to talk about that. So for the listeners, I'm not just springing this on her, but I know this is something that a lot of people are curious about, because obviously, like, heartache and breakups are so relatable to people at any age. And I know for me, just watching your life from the outside, I'm like, wow, she seems to be really like navigating this well. Whereas like I'm a disaster in breakups. So can you talk us through maybe some of the ways that like you were growing, and then how you came to that decision to, end this for your relationship?
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously being so like committed to like a self-growth practice is so beneficial. I really have been in the last year, and I realized a lot of things about myself. The main thing being that I am extremely codependent, and I didn't know that because I'm also an extremely independent person, and I've always really held on to that, being like, oh well, I love being alone. I love doing things on my own. I don't need anyone to tell me what to do. But you can be both codependent and independent. And because I am an extreme, or have been in the past, an extreme people pleaser, my relationships in my life, not even just my romantic relationship, I was so hung up on how to keep those people happy versus myself. And even my job took such a backseat. My family took such a backseat because I was so focused on like making the other person happy. And unfortunately, I was in the exact wrong relationship for that, because this relationship, the person I was in a relationship with had a lot of caring needed for me to do, or I felt that way. And I didn't know how to not nurture and caretake every second. And I started to just really realize that, and just try so hard every day to look at my life outside of the bubble that I was in. And it's so hard. It's almost impossible. But I also am so grateful that I have such amazing friendships in my life that would never, ever tell me that I shouldn't do something. It's always like whatever your heart says. But at a certain point, you can pick up on maybe their real opinions in their minds. And I just started to pay attention, and I was so patient with it. But I think that's why when finally the breakup came about a few months ago, it wasn't as dramatic and intense and emotional as you would expect a 4-year relationship ending to be, because I honestly had been fantasizing about being alone and just having to take care of myself. That weight lifted off my shoulders I was dreaming about it for months, that I think the biggest feeling I felt, and mind you, I still like cried my eyes out and like, couldn't eat for a couple days. And like, of course, those things are going to come about when like your life is turning upside down, it feels like. But I think the biggest feeling I felt was freedom. And I still feel it, to be able to wake up. And that's how you should feel in a relationship, is waking up and being like, what do I want to do today? Or like, I don't care if this person is working until 7. Like, I don't need to be home when they get home. I don't need and that is I take full responsibility for putting myself in that position. There was not any, ask on my partner's part of saying like, you need to do this or you need to do that. But I think to be self-aware of like, I can get caught up in these patterns. I want to work on that while I'm single now, but also the next time I get into a relationship, I want to be with someone who also can hold me accountable if I ever fall back into that.
Do you have any tips for anyone listening who's like, I feel that way too, but I'm afraid? Like, I'm thinking of friends of mine who are single and who are maybe in like not super fulfilling relationships, but there's fear. There's like a scarcity mindset, I think, when it comes to relationships, where it's like, well, if not this person, then who? And then especially as you like get into your 30s and like in LA, that's elderly. And, you know, like everyone's saying what a nightmare the apps are and the dating scene and nobody can commit. And I think that keeps people in the wrong relationships. And how did you get over that fear?
Yeah, of course. Of course, you're like, I've envisioned myself marriage, kids, maybe like I did with this person. And you know, when you're in that state too, the thought of dating someone new is repulsive and just terrifying, and you want to curl up into a ball and go back to what you're familiar with. And I did that for a really long time. I really did. And also it's confusing when there's so much love there, because you're like, well, I'm not just, you know, I'm not just beating myself up by going home to this person and sleeping next to them. I love them. So I'm like, I'm happy at times, but also I am thinking about like how I need to be free, but freedom, am I going to really feel free? Like, how do I know that that's going to be the feeling? And I went through all those emotions and thoughts, but in the end, like, I just think, I feel so deeply that if you're feeling these ways, you have to give it a shot, and you have to know that that person isn't dying. They will still be there, and you can go and take time for yourself and figure it out. And if they are meant to be, they will. I'm not saying that you should expect them to wait for you, but like, if they are meant to be, like, you will be together. So to be able to take the time for yourself and do that while you have the time versus when you have kids or when you're older and you're tied in more ways than you already are. Like, I remember my mind would go to like, who's gonna have the couch? like weird little things like that you'd make excuses to scare yourself out of, like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how we're gonna split this furniture, or like who's gonna stay in this apartment and who's gonna leave. Those are just all the most like silliest excuses. They feel like it's the end of the world, but then when you're out of the bubble, you're like, that's hilarious that I would have stayed for that reason because I didn't know who would take the lease.
Yeah, it's like, I think our brains are wired evolutionarily to see anything unfamiliar or unknown as a threat. Like, so we start making all these excuses of like, oh, well, I shouldn't leave because of the couch, and who's going to get the lease, and who's going to get the dog, and there's never a good time, right? And there's never, like, there are always going to be reasons to stay. So I think it's very inspiring that you ultimately were like, no, like, I needed to see this through because I was feeling this way myself. And like, you're sitting in front of me and I'm like, oh yeah, she's free. Like, there's a lightness to you for sure.
No, it really feels that way. I started reading this book called Codependent No More.
Melody Beattie.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you if you had that book. I was going to send it to you.
It is triggering me in the best ways. Like, it's what made me realize, like, oh, I am the absolute definition of that. And I think you have to really, I mean, I would recommend anyone listening to read the book, but also if you do feel like stuck in a relationship or something, because you have to take a look at your relationship and really ask yourself, am I building up resentment? And am I going out of my way to make this person feel loved? And I'm not feeling like it's being reciprocated. I'm feeling like I give more. I'm feeling like I'm getting taken advantage of sometimes. Whatever those feelings are, if you do not leave that situation, it is only going to continue to build. And you're going to live with resentment in your life forever. And like, that is not healthy at all.
We have a saying in recovery that's resentment is drinking the poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Yeah.
I always remember that because I'm like, yeah, that is very true. There's another book, The Language of Letting Go. Do you know that one?
No.
Oh, it's a daily, it's like a daily reader.
I love that.
Melody Beattie as well, Melody. And it's for codependents. But I read it every morning because it has like just the most inspiring short daily passages.
I love that.
And
that's
everybody,
like her other book, Daily Meditations of Love or whatever. I love that
I have a
one.
bunch that I read in the morning. I'm like, let's go.
that.
In the morning, like I have my recovery ones. I have that, like
that's amazing.
spiritual ones.
Yeah.
So that's a really good one too for people to like incorporate into.
The Language of Letting Go.
Yes.
Noted.
Yes, it's so good. And then another thing that I was thinking when you were talking was another saying, and I'm going to butcher it, but something about like the universe whispers until it screams or something like that. And I think the same thing goes for us. We get these intuitive thoughts, right? And feelings like maybe this isn't right. Like maybe I would be happier. Maybe like I want this freedom. Maybe I'm craving something else. And you can try to ignore it.
Oh, I was just having this conversation at lunch.
Really?
The power of a woman's intuition is like no other. Listen to it. It is your gut. It's not anxiety. If it continues to show up, it is not anxiety. I used to say that excuse all the time. I just don't know if it's my gut intuition or if I'm just nervous and having anxiety about it. I can't tell the difference. Anxiety will go away like very, very soon. But if it's a reoccurring feeling so deep within you, like that is your intuition telling you something and you like have to listen to it or it will just keep coming back until it screams, like you just said.
That's such an important point too, because I think it's hard for us, especially when we're in it, to differentiate between what is anxiety, what is fear-based thinking, and what's actually real, especially when it's not something that's being presented to you maybe as a fact. It's just a feeling.
Totally.
And I know for me, like I am wired to run on fear.
Yeah.
That's my thing. That's my area. You know, I know a lot of people get to recovery and some people have issues with resentment and some people have issues with selfishness. And like, I definitely have those things too. But fear, that's dictated so many aspects of my life. And I have a coping mechanism or like a design for living that helps me navigate that. But it's still hard for me even at like 9.5 years of sobriety to be like, is this real? Like this feeling that I'm having, this gut feeling, or is that fear?
Right.
So how do you differentiate? Is it just like what you were saying? Like if it goes away, maybe it's more anxiety, fear?
Yeah, I think it's amazing to, I used to get made fun of like from my family when I was younger that they would always be like, you are so over analytical about your feelings. I obviously was the more emotional one of the family and to like my family doesn't, like I'm grateful for it, but they don't struggle with any type of mental health whatsoever. Like they are truly, they're just good. They are just good all the time.
Can't relate.
I can't relate at all. Never have been able to.
Nope, me neither.
But I actually think as much as they would tease me about it, I think it's a blessing and a curse sometimes. But I think it's a blessing in the sense of like being able to dissect your feelings, and like journaling is a huge thing. I know it gets overly talked about, and I don't mean just like in the morning, like writing down 3 things you're grateful for and it getting like super repetitive, because I definitely take breaks from that. I think there's like a reason it's amazing, but also sometimes I mean like journaling in the sense of like, okay, is this fear or is this my intuition? I'm going to write down exactly what I'm feeling for the next week because these emotions are so strong. And being able to like see this on paper, you're reading it, it gets pretty clear. And the only thing that might make it not clear is your self wanting to ignore the truth.
Yes, and I am a big proponent for like pen to paper. I think there is something different that happens when you're actually writing it versus like typing it, but you can do that too.
Yeah.
It's always different when you get it out of your head. And it's so revealing because we generally don't lie to ourselves, right? Like when you're just stream of consciousness, journaling, writing, whatever's going on. Whereas when it's in our head, we can rationalize and we can justify and we can do mental gymnastics. But if we're just like, like brain dump on a piece of paper, you're like, oh, wow. Like often, like I've found that it can just take one time where it makes me change my entire perspective on something.
Absolutely. Like that, or an amazing therapist too. I mean, I finally just last couple months found one that challenges me. I think that's so important. I had one before and I was just, which is great too. I was just talking to myself, which like sometimes you just need that to get it out. But this woman will catch me and be like, why do you think that? Do you think that this is a toxic pattern? And I'm like, oh gosh, yes, unfortunately, you're right. So I think both of those are really good.
What else is working for you right now?
I will say I think we probably talked about it on our last podcast episode, maybe, that, and I'm very vocal about it on social media, that I went 8.5 years without a period. And I actually haven't shared too much about this, but I just got my period for the first time in 8.5 years without any birth control, supplement, I mean, anything. And I firstly went through a breakup, which was a freeing feeling. And then I decided to do some like energy healing with my friend Jess Stone. She does like a lot of tarot card readings.
Why do I know that name?
You probably met her. She does a lot of like events.
Does she have a place in Venice?
She would do like a little pop-up at that honey place in Venice.
That's what I might be thinking.
Yeah. And so we become friends, and she was like, I do like one-on-one energy healings. And I was just feeling so called to it because, first of all, I've tried everything to get my period back in a holistic way. And I really wanted to try absolutely everything before having to turn to something like birth control. So I was like, I think that there's something going on within me that's resisting that. And I also have not really opened up about this, but there's just been something in my life always that's a little bit afraid of men and being intimate. I've always been the shy, like a guy puts his arm around me, I want to have a panic attack. Don't know how to have fun in like nighttime environments due to being afraid of that. And I started to, do a lot of breath work and meditation, and that would keep coming up. And I started to realize maybe the two were related. The reason I don't get my period is because of this fear, there's something I'm holding on to. And so I did a really amazing long energy healing session with her, and it became so clear to me why those feelings, where I went back to being a child, and nothing like dramatic, just it was just very clear of like, oh, like that makes sense, like that I took that as a traumatic experience. Or just, I'm sure so many women can relate of being like overly sexualized when they're like way too young to be, just by like even little tiny comments from teachers or whoever. And I was able to just look at these situations and be like, I forgive that person, I forgive myself, and I'm releasing it. And this sounds so weird, but I woke up the next day with cramps, and 5 days later I got my period.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I don't think it's weird. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that there's so much going on in our bodies that we don't understand, that can't be measured by whatever traditional,
Exactly.
Western practices. And it's kind of similar to, I don't know, acupuncture, and I'm sure you tried that as well. But, they talk about these meridians and these energy connections, and that's not something that can be measured or quantified, but how many people do acupuncture and it works. So I think like the energy thing totally makes sense.
Yeah. And I also think leading up to that, I see this guy named Brian. His company's called Shen Generation, and that's exactly what he does is Bodywork. So Jess is more of like the mental side of energy healing, and like she does do like Reiki and stuff, and then Brian he is like hitting points of your body. Like he sometimes even uses like chiropractic therapies as well.
Is he in Venice?
He's in Culver City.
Oh.
I know.
I'm like, I think I know that guy too. No.
He's amazing. And so I think the mix of working with both of them, along with being free from being in a relationship, allowed me to fully have that. And like, to be honest, it's been only 2 months, but since that day, I genuinely didn't know this level of happiness and freedom existed in my life. And I feel like I've stepped into my like feminine side, and it's just become so apparent how much I was living in the masculine. And of course, like if you're living that much in the masculine, you're not like, your period is such a feminine thing. And it just makes a lot of sense. I think honestly, even though I was doing the right things, I would say I started to really try and do the right things and heal my body and eat properly and have more protein and like do all the things that the like doctors were telling me to. But I do feel like COVID really instilled this like hustle and girl boss culture in us. And I think it really screwed a lot of us up. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people got rich, which is great. But also I think that there was so much of like, what more can I do? What more can I do? The algorithm, this, like, how can I go viral? Like, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job. A lot of fear, which resulted in people having a lot of hustle culture. And so from that point on, I was just like, that's why I say too, when I look at my social media from like last year and the year before, I don't even really recognize myself, because I'm like, this was all so fear-based. And I just feel like ever since the last couple months, I've really, it's not even that I'm like, oh, I'm healed and I'm good and I don't have any of those other sides of me. Of course they still exist, but I'm just so aware of it now.
Yeah, and if you're in fear all the time, like I'm sure there's a cortisol element to it, where like I know, because I personally run on fear, like I said, if I'm not doing certain things to kind of counteract that and be mindful. And I've had period issues my whole life, like shocker, you know, because when you're
fight or
in
flight,
fear, even if you're not consciously thinking about it and it's just subconscious, you're fight or flight. Your body's not worried about reproducing. Like, so I think that's probably not necessarily in your case, but I think that's a big part of that. And I think our thoughts really dictate a lot of our health and our experience. And I think
absolutely
so many people have the experience of being like, okay, well, I'm like working out, I'm eating right, I don't eat gluten, dairy, sugar, whatever. Like maybe they're not drinking alcohol, I'm meditating, I'm journaling. You can do all the things, but if you're still talking to yourself in a certain way, or if you're in that relationship where you're always wondering and you have that like narrative going on, or you're desiring to be free and you don't feel free, like so many different things, if that's happening, like that's gonna dictate a lot of what
1,000%. I think like such a prime example too is I just got to go to Italy on a trip for a friend's wedding, and it couldn't have come at a better time. I've never done the summer in Europe.
It looked amazing.
And it's been, on my Pinterest board for my whole life. So I was very excited, and it couldn't have come at a better time. And I was drinking so much wine, and I have a glass of wine here and have the worst hangover. I don't really drink. So much wine, 3 bread baskets at dinner and lunch, and honestly sometimes breakfast. Like, I mean, bowls of olive oil, like just really, for me too, I know that's maybe not a big deal to some people, but I am extremely careful with what I eat here, because I'm just not, and that doesn't come anymore from a fear base. It comes from like an addiction to feeling good. And I do have a more sensitive body. So I know that like I have to take certain steps that make me feel good. And usually it's not bread and wine, but there I would wake up more clear-minded than ever. And then
Interesting.
Coming back to LA, being in, you know, the same neighborhood as the partner that I just got out of a relationship with, and kind of having the like fear of maybe running into that person, as well as all the memories that come back, as well as like the food here is just, and the wine is not the same. But I didn't even do that. I had like a salad and did a cold plunge and did a sauna and did all the right things. But because all of those other thoughts were still surrounding me, felt way worse than I did when I was in a new place of like freedom out there. And I'm not saying everyone needs to book a trip to Italy, because that's like so unrealistic. But I do think sometimes it is good to like be in a new environment if you can, or switch things up, even if that just means like switching up your furniture in your apartment and letting go a little, like not being so strict on what you think works, because sometimes like change means you actually need to like change other things as well.
Yeah, what I'm hearing from all of this is like that there's so much freedom in the unknown, which is so ironic because that's what we're all scared of. Yeah. But it's very inspiring to like just take that leap. And I'm sure everybody listening has something that they want to do that they're afraid of, whether it's leaving a relationship or being in a relationship or changing their career or moving or whatever, down to like little things. But for whatever reason, like we're really wired, and I think we're really trained to like stay in what's familiar.
Yeah.
Because it's safe.
Totally. And I think we're also so trained to like be so sure of things. And it's like, you don't need to know. Like you can just make a decision. And if you want to change your mind in a couple days, change your mind. Like I think if only everyone really understood that like they are in charge of their own story and they don't need to do it anyway. Like it's inevitable that we're going to disappoint people and we're going to disappoint ourselves. So you might as well just do what you feel you need to do.
Yeah. Whenever I do Q&As or like solo episodes, people are like, how do you like not care what people think? And how do you not live your life? And I'm like, I just could never, like, because regardless of what you do, people aren't going to agree with things, or they're not going to like it, or they're going to feel let down. Like that's on them. That's not on you. Like I just can't imagine not following like your own truth and like the things that really call you. I don't know if I'm articulating that right, but
no, you are. I completely agree.
I'm just thinking of the questions that I had that were coming in, and we're kind of like in this area a little bit. So I'm curious how this experience and maybe everything leading up to it like has affected how you feel in your body and your body image. And I know that like you started eating meat again, and that's kind of to that. I'm sure you got a lot of flack for that from people online.
I actually didn't.
Wow.
I got so much support. I feel like
you have a good community then.
I also just feel like people are so into eating meat right now.
Yeah.
Like there's like a movement of meat eaters, and there's like a movement of like people not having a label on their diet. So I think there was just a lot more, you know, PETA commented on a couple things being like, no, come back to us. We love PETA.
I'll get the commenters here on the podcast. They love to leave a 1-star review.
Oh yeah.
If they don't agree.
Yep, they'll do that. But besides them, no, so much support.
That's great.
I also just think like people can obviously feel your energy even if it's through the phone, and I think they could tell how like I did feel kind of guilty about it. Like it's not like I was like, F it, I'm just gonna go and eat. I don't care anymore. Yeah. It was like, this is everything I've ever been against, and this is a really weird moment for me, but like I am gonna, after 9 years, finally listen to my body, and it's screaming at me. I mean, I'm dreaming of myself sitting at Erewhon eating steak. Like, gotta go. Gotta go do it.
Was this around when you got your period back too?
It's about like, let's say like 3 months before I started to like, honestly, I've only had steak. That's, I eat fish. And then I had steak like, honestly, maybe like 5 times. Just, it's kind of like, I treat it like, oh, I'm craving this. I'm having a craving. I'm going to go and, you know, give my body that. But I feel like just, again, like the sense of freedom. I think there's such a confusion when it comes to if you've dealt with body dysmorphia or any type of eating disorder or body issues whatsoever. You can get so confused because like being bloated right now is having such a moment, and it's the real deal. Like it's the most uncomfortable feeling. Yet I do think, especially all of us women, we are going to deal with that, especially living here in America. Move to Europe, maybe not, but we're going to deal with that. And it can really mix your mind up because you're like, I just don't feel comfortable in my body. But I think it's like sometimes we're actually like holding on to just so much stress that's causing that, because I still get bloated and I experience it, and I'm a proud, you know, bloat queen, and will still take all the supplements needed. Yeah. But the amount it has reduced is actually insane. And I genuinely think that is letting go of stress of, honestly, I just think the amount of pressure I put on myself to look a certain way, because it was where I got my self-worth from in so many aspects, to truly like commit to like the self-love practice of like what you love about yourself beyond that, what you love to do for other people or how you want to feel. Like I just had a big wake up call, and it doesn't mean I still don't want to look good. Like I'm still going to work out and eat the right things and like, I don't know, do some M sculpt sometimes because I want to. Like I still will, but it's such a not first priority anymore. And so that freedom, like I feel so comfortable in my body. Mind you, I just want to preface, like, of course I still have my days. Like I did cry once in Italy because I was like, I don't feel amazing. But I only cried once, and like usually I would cry every day. So that's a win.
That is definitely a win.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do some listener questions.
Okay.
What's one wellness practice you couldn't live without?
Practice or treatment?
They said like sauna, cold plunge,
Okay.
etc. But it could be anything.
Yeah. I gotta say the cold therapy, whether it's a cold plunge or even just a cold shower. I think that's just because anxiety can be such a debilitating feeling where you're like, there's nothing that can fix this right now. And I feel like that reduces my anxiety like so amazingly.
Favorite skincare or makeup products?
Skincare is Clear Stem. I would say their Hydra Berry mask. I got like dermatitis, so I never had any skin problems. And last year I got it and I had to stop using everything. And Clear Stem is that, along with like a couple of products from other lines, but their products are the only products I like truly trust. And anything that's non-pore clogging. SOS Tower 28 spray, that one I couldn't live without. And then makeup, I would say Refi lip liner and Rare Beauty bronzer.
Amazing.
Yep.
I want to try that Refi.
Oh, I'm wearing it right now.
Get
It's so
ads
good.
You're wearing the lip liner? It's a really good shade. How to deal with disordered eating thoughts on the daily?
When like those types of thoughts would come up, I just think the simplest thing of like closing your eyes and taking like 3 really big deep breaths, and then sometimes going on a walk. Like even if it's, I know that those can come up a lot of the time when you're like about to eat. And so what I would do is 3 really big deep breaths and go on a little walk, and then just be able to like clear your head. I know not everyone like has time for that, but even just the breathing, like it's your nervous system is just like, it's almost like your shoulders are up to your chin and you're just really tense. So to just like get realigned with yourself. I know that sounds so simple, but I feel like it really does the trick.
What do you get done to maintain your youth favorite treatments?
Ooh.
You are youthful, though. How old are you?
I'm 27.
That's
I'm going to
so
hang
young.
on to that number until Friday because I turned 28.
No way. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I get Dysport in my forehead. Honestly, too, not even just to like reduce the wrinkles, because I actually don't dislike wrinkles, but the glassy glowiness it gives you, I'm obsessed with that. So I probably do that every maybe like 4 or 5 months. And then I get lip filler, and I actually got a little in my chin last time, but they were just like, it's a little uneven. We could put it in your chin. And I was like, hey, go for it. Oh, that one hurt. The next day, I was like, what did I just go through?
It can feel like you got punched in the face.
Yeah. And I also do like radio frequency facials, like Forma or something like that. And I honestly don't know truly if those are like, it's hard to tell on those because it's not like overnight progress. But I feel like I hear a lot of people saying that they're beneficial. So I do them.
Do you color your hair? And if so, what do you tell your stylist?
I don't.
No.
I know. Natural.
What are you most excited about now?
I'm really excited to see just honestly what comes up in my life, being a lot more open. I've never felt excited to date, and I actually really feel that way. And like I feel like this is so weird to say, but like step into like that like more sexual side of myself. And I don't mean like I'm going to have like a slut girl summer, like, or whatever they call it.
Nothing wrong with that, though.
No, nothing wrong with that. I think I'm actually like wanting to be alone and do that, but just step into that like side of myself. And I feel like it's going to change the creative projects I do, the work projects I do, even some of the relationships I have in my life. So I'm honestly just really open and excited for that.
Well, thank you for coming on. This was such a candid conversation that I think so many people are going to relate to and get something from and get inspired by. And I'm sure you and I are going to get messages like, I left the relationship that I've been wanting to.
Don't put that pressure on me. No,
I think it's great. Like, I think it's honoring your truth, right?
It really is.
Like, and you can only try to quiet that for so long, like we were saying before. And then I think when you do that, it manifests itself in so many different ways. And it's just really inspiring to see you like honor that and walk through the fear, like feel the fear and do it anyway, and grow and evolve. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Tell everybody where they can find you.
Just at Alyssa Lynch on Instagram, TikTok, all that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.